Hi, welcome back. We are talking about finding comfort outside of your comfort zone. And today, we're going to look at what creates that comfort in the first place and how you could break those patterns. Because that's what a lot of comfort is about. Oftentimes, you may find that what makes you quote unquote comfortable is really just a habit. It's familiar. It's something you've done so frequently that you don't have to think about it anymore. And so your habits and your patterns have created the illusion of comfort. I'll give you an example. When I was young, we tried cross-country skiing. Never done it before. And we put on these skis, and there are these ruts. And you take a path over some hills, and it was very strenuous. It wasn't easy to do. But being in those ruts made it a little easier. You see, hundreds, if not thousands of skiers had taken that same path. And so it creates these little tracks, almost like railroad tracks. Or if you could think about if you're walking through the woods and there's a path. A path is there because you've gone down that path so many times, other people have gone down that path so many times, that it becomes the path of least resistance. You don't have to brush anything out of the way. You don't have to hack your way through vines. It becomes easy. Well, the good thing is, you're finding that you can get from point A to point B in a relatively easy and short amount of time. The bad news is, when you're in those ruts, you can't explore anything else. And in order to explore anything else, it feels like that's going to be a lot harder. And it's also going to be a lot more uncomfortable because I'm comfortable going where the path leads me. So you need to explore what are the patterns in your life that are preventing you from stepping outside of the lines, going outside of the path, outside of the ruts. I'll give you a physical example. Hold your hands like this, okay? And now cross them. Nice and easy, just cross your hands. Comfortable, right? Take them apart again, and now cross them one more time. There we go. We do this every day. Feels comfortable, it's nice. Now take them apart, but this time, when I tell you to cross them, put the opposite thumb on top. Weird, right? It feels weird. Why is that? Well, it's because you've been crossing your hands the exact same way since you first learned how to cross your hands. And so it's comfortable. As soon as I tell you to put the opposite thumb on top, something feels wrong. Something's been violated. It's uncomfortable. And it's weird. It actually produces the opposite effect of comfort. Now, if I had you do that every single day for the next 30 days, you could only cross with the other thumb on top, you would eventually become a little more familiar with it and it wouldn't seem so odd. So the first step of finding comfort outside of your comfort zone is to identify your patterns. And oftentimes what makes you comfortable was not a choice. You didn't decide, hey, this is what I love to do. You just did something so frequently, so often, it became a habit, and that habit caused comfort. Because you didn't have to think anymore. You didn't have to make choices. You didn't have to decide. You just went on autopilot, and it released you of any responsibility. So if you drive to work every day, and you take the same path every day, you take the exact same route, how many times do you look and see a building and say, oh, is that building new? But that building's been there for 20 years. You just never noticed it because you're on autopilot. You created a habit and a pattern. So how do we find comfort outside of that comfort zone? Well, here's some things you can do. Take a different drive to work. Take a different drive to the mall, to the grocery store, to the movies, wherever you go. If you go there frequently, go a different way. Allow your mind to work. Break those synapses. Those synapses, they're useful. But the problem is when we rely on them too much, we don't think. We don't reason. So you got to break them. You know, Thoreau said that a foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of simple minds. If you do something again and again and again simply because it feels comfortable, you're not using your mind. You're not expanding. So that every time you do something outside of your comfort zone, it feels terrible. Or the thought of doing it is just like, it's a mountain. I don't want to climb that. So here's what you're going to do. From the time you wake up tomorrow to the time you go to sleep, I want you to identify your autopilot moments. What are the habits and patterns that you do that you're not thinking about? You're not thinking about it. Watch this. Raise your hand. You all just raised your hand, and you have no idea how you did that. You've been raising your hand so long that your mind automatically does it. Well, I have a daughter who's 16 months old, and if I ask her to raise her hand, she doesn't know how to do it. And you can see her mind actively trying to figure out how to raise her hand. She's creating synapses. Now, by the time she's 10, she'll never have to think about that again. She'll just raise her hand. So identify your patterns. They might be eating patterns. They might be sleeping patterns. They might be driving patterns. They might be communication patterns. They might be the way that you deal with conflict, those patterns. They might be the way you walk around your house. But what are the patterns that you can identify that you don't think about? Once you've identified them, choose one, very low stakes, and break it. Do it differently. Do it differently until doing it the old way feels new again. That's your first step to finding comfort outside your comfort zone. I hope you found this useful. As always, please like and follow if you'd like to continue on the series, and post in the comments, what are some of your patterns? What are some of your habits? I'd be interested to see how many of you out there have the exact same patterns and habits, yet you think you might be the only one. There might be some universals. All right, if you need to reach me, you can always reach me at the email address here. And until next time, have a wonderful day. I'll see you tomorrow.